Hello everyone, it's me, the RetroDen, and today we're here on another of one of those chilled videos where I just talk about a certain topic, which I really like making because there are so many topics I still need to talk about on this channel, and I think these videos are the best way for me to put them. So today we're talking about achievement or trophy hunting, and I'll get to that division soon. And we're talking about my personal experience, and I hope you guys who are interested in joining the hobby might learn or want to know some stuff about the hobby in itself from someone who has been in it for some years. And the title says achievement hunting over 3,000 hours, and these numbers are not fake. I did not just pull these numbers for the algorithm. These numbers were taken from me adding up all the hours from games played in my total completion, and that number is small. The 3,000 hours is pretty small when it comes to achievement hunting, because I used to do MMO achievement hunting, which you can add at least 1,000 extra hours. You can also have games I have played but not completed yet, which adds like more than 1,000 hours already, and on and on. So those 3,000 hours are real, and it can be even bigger. They can be even bigger if you add up all the niche stuff you could count as hours that I was achievement or completion or trophy hunting. So let's just start by the beginning. So I started this hobby a few years ago. I'm not quite sure. I tried to check which one was my oldest completion, but I did start on the PC, on Steam. So as you know, Steam achievements, not the greatest system when it comes to this hobby, but one that has a very good community. There's a lot of stigma around it because of the Steam Achievement Manager, which is an app that lets you just put achievements into your account, which makes it easy for people who want to make their profiles better to just use an app to put games to 100%, but that doesn't really count nowadays, because you can easily check when someone's profile is hacked or not. And to be honest, let people hack their profiles, who cares? You have to do this for yourself. That's something you learn if you watch my other videos about trophy or achievement hunting in the beginning. You have to do this for yourself, and what other people think, it doesn't matter, and you'll understand that as longer you stay in this hobby. So the beginning, I started on PC. I don't know when exactly, but there were a few games in my account that caught my interest, and I started watching videos from creators such as the completionist Gerard and Mystic, who did completionism videos from time to time on the PlayStation. And I thought that, damn, these people are getting huge value out of their games. They're understanding more about the gaming industry and the little details inside of the games, and I want to be like this. I want to learn more about these games. So I decided to take a hit at my Steam games to see what I could hunt. And right in the beginning, you tend to fall into this loop of wanting to complete the next thing, and you start checking how much does it take to beat something, and games to buy just to achievement hunt. And I fell into this loop. Until a little time ago, like a few days ago, I had proof of these bad times for my accounts in my profile, but I removed it through the Steam console. You can now remove completed games from your Steam account through the Steam console. And I decided to lower my ranking in my national and international leaderboards, because Shovelware and stats were something I really cared about back then, and I was climbing my national ranks when it comes to achievement completion, and I was adding like really bad games to my account, which nowadays looked really bad, because when you do this, you want your account to have fun games and good games there that people can look at and say, damn, this guy plays good games, and he has like a unique curated library of completed games that he can talk about. And when you start adding shovelware to that, it just ruins the entire thing, because people just look at you and assume you're doing it for the higher number. And when it comes to gaming, you actually don't care about, because all you want is to get bigger ranks and bigger numbers, or smaller numbers in this case, single digits on the leaderboard. And at some point I was like top 50 in my country, but that doesn't really matter to me anymore, if I'm being really honest. But yeah, that brings me to my next point, which is the community. Well, the community, there's a lot to be said, and this is a point I really want to get to, because the community can be very divided when it comes to achievement and trophy hunting, and that's something I have experienced both sides of when it comes to these last, I'd like to say, 3 to 4 years, which is how long I've been doing this. And it's divided in a lot of elitism, positivity, negativity, toxicity, and inclusion. It has every side of the coin when it comes to achievement hunting. Once you come in, if you fall into certain loops, you will find that you will be more enticed to join certain parts of the community. So when I say the community is divided, I mean there are people that hunt on only specific platforms. There are people that discredit completions on another platform. There are people who enjoy completing games that they just want to talk about other people who complete games. There are people who care about your percentage of completion and if you 100% or if you just platinum the games or what you play and if you have hard or easy games. And my approach to it in the beginning was that I actually got into my head sometimes that my profile wasn't good enough because I didn't have any big RPGs or big games to my name. But somewhere along the line, around like last year, I realized that I was just being completely stupid. Like, who cares? Once I die and I'm 6 feet under, nobody will care which games I have completed despite me and the memories I made, like, for myself. Because there are games that didn't take a long time to complete, but I really enjoyed them, despite what everyone might think, like Lego games. I love Lego games. I grew up with Lego games and I had as a personal goal to complete every single one of them, even those that don't have trophies or achievements, because I like them. Sometimes they get boring, yeah, and sometimes the criticism that people point towards them as them being easy platinums or just boring games are valid for some of the games for sure, but I like them, so it really doesn't matter. And when it comes to the more acceptant part of the community, who just accepts you for whatever you complete or whatever you like to play, I think that's what everyone should strive to be if they're in this hobby. I personally have enticed and helped a lot of people get into the hobby of completing games, either on Steam or on PlayStation, some of which watch this channel and still have contact with me until today. And whenever someone asks me for opinions on what they should play next or what they should add to their profile, I just say, like, curate your own list, make your list unique, play whatever you like, and don't play for the stats. Because playing for the stats and your mindset around achievement hunting, it has to mean everything to you for it to mean nothing to you. Because once you start, and I just got a little poorly philosophical there, but my train of thought is here, trust me. It has to mean everything to mean nothing to you, in the same sense that you have to enjoy it so much that the entire stigmas and the bad things around it mean nothing to you because you're just having so much fun. And I think that's what you should strive for, and then you should ally yourself with people in this community that enjoy the same mindset and have the same mindset that you have, because you have to be surrounded by positivity so you don't turn this hobby into something you hate. Because sometimes around like 2 years ago I started hating this hobby and I quit it completely, but then once I got the itch to complete games again, I came back and didn't stop. Because, and this is another thing we need to talk about, if you come into this, you will know for sure in the beginning if this is something for you or not. Because I've seen many people try and get into this hobby, and you can understand right from the beginning if this hobby is meant for them or no. And I think the biggest key factor when it comes to understanding if a person is meant for achievement or trophy hunting or not is patience. If people are unhealthily obsessed with getting the next platinum or the next 100%, and they just want you to tell them the games that are easy and what they should add to their account immediately, and they want to start the next thing right after they stop the other one, and they don't take their time to enjoy the game, enjoy the process, study the entire process of getting the 100%, and come to terms with themselves about how they actually felt about the game, and maybe put it down as a review or talk with others, you know that person is doing it for all the wrong reasons when it comes to the hobby. And I think when it comes to those types of people, if you are in the part of the hobby where you have some more experience, you should just let them be, because they'll eventually give up on it, or maybe it'll get better. I don't know, every person is their own case, but that's what I found after all these years. And since we're talking about all the bad reasons, let's talk about Shovelware. Despite what you think about getting the bigger numbers and getting and making leaderboard climbing your main enjoyment out of this hobby, that is valid, of course, but for any aspiring newcomers, don't. My opinion is don't do shovelware, don't buy shovelware, don't give money to these predatory companies. Gaming, despite all you might think about it, is art. This is entertainment. This is the entertainment industry, and there are people out there pouring good dollars and soul into making things you can actually enjoy. And the truth, the cold truth is, you will never reach the 10% or the 1 or the 5% of the bigger numbers and people in the leaderboards, because those people are people who dedicate entire amounts of thousands of dollars and hours to just climb the leaderboards. We're talking different region locked versions of games. We're talking different versions of the same game for different consoles. We're talking about everything you can do to add that extra number. And these people, for what? To have a name on a leaderboard, but nobody cares about you at the end of the day? I mean, if you're happy with yourself, for sure, but think about your time spent really well. Do you want to, like, let's say you would die tomorrow, what would you prefer having? Like 150 games that took 1 hour to beat each, and none of them stand out as a particularly fulfilling experience? Or would you rather have played something like a 100-hour or 150-hour RPG whose story can change your view on the world and how you enjoy things and is pretty memorable? And I don't think this discussion, this is a rhetorical question. This doesn't have a wrong answer, because there's just one answer. It's the latter, because you should look for fulfilling experiences in life, and this hobby comes down to that. You have to chase completion. You have to chase something you feel good about. And of course, gatekeeping breaks that point, because at some point in this hobby, you will find yourself feeling disgusted about some things, just like I described shovelware back here. But I think it's a matter of valuing life and experiences more than valuing numbers. That's the key way to enjoy this hobby. And I'm just rambling. At the end of the day, all of you can do whatever you want. It's your life, it's your hobby. But yeah, and when it comes to my specific experiences, so I've had really good and really bad completion experiences. Some of which come to mind are already recorded in this channel, such as the Dragon Ball FighterZ 100% was something that really cemented itself in my mind as something I don't really like doing, because I spent around 40 hours grinding away at the same 3 fights. You can go watch that video because I explained it pretty well in there. But I decided that my approach to trophies didn't need to be that way. And recently I've actually had or noticed the evolution of my own mindset when it comes to this hobby, and it was one of the big impulses for me to be making this video. So back then, when I achievement hunted, I had like lists with the next games I wanted to beat and the ones that needed more or less playthroughs and all the things you can imagine that entail achievement hunting in a certain game. But nowadays I've taken a different approach. I start a game, I play it. I think naturalizing the process is something you come to terms with when you have been longer in this community. Because if you're doing it and forcing it upon yourself like I did, I used to plan out the games I was going to play next and how much time I had to complete them, because I wanted to get through them so I could get that number bigger and validate myself to other people who didn't mean anything to me. But nowadays I don't care about that. I keep my circle close when it comes to achievement hunting. I celebrate my completions with my close friends, and I think that's the way I get more enjoyment out of it. And when it comes to actually playing and achievement hunting, I just open any game from time to time, and I don't even go for a route when it comes to achievements. I just check which achievements the game has and play it, and if I see an achievement I can unlock, I go for it, and I play for fun, because I have too much of a backlog, which is also a good point to make in this video. I have too much backlog to care about going over a certain game and obsessing over it, because there are just too many things to play. And over the times and the years, I also understood that, yeah, as I said, you don't need to validate yourself to anyone else. You need to play the things you like. You need to be unique. I always say in this channel that I give much more value to someone whose list is unique and has games I can understand that person enjoys, rather than a list that is completely filled with like generic games. Even though generic games can be good as well if you're looking just to not only complete them but experience some of the games that all people around you enjoy. Let's say infamous games in the achievement hunting community, such as Devil May Cry 5 and Crash 4. If you want to play those games because you want to have that full experience, sure, but do it for the experience. Don't do it so other people can point at you and say, oh, this guy completed the MC5, this guy completed Crash. Because if you run into someone like me who doesn't care about that, like, you just become valueless in the eyes of others. And unless you're doing it to have value inside of you, it doesn't matter. And I know I'm beating around the bush here, but this is an unscripted video. And yeah, at some time around my achievement hunting hobby, I decided that Steam wasn't clicking for me. And that was also a big point in my achievement hunting career, because I switched to PlayStation around August last year. There's also videos recorded about that in this channel. So my switch to PlayStation was mainly because PC gaming was at a very bad point in early 2023. Games like Jedi Fallen Order coming out with busted ass PC ports that were basically unplayable. And since I'm not upgrading my PC, I switched to PlayStation. And I think if you had to join nowadays, and that was my experience over 1 year hunting on PlayStation, and I've only recently come back to Steam, but hunting on PlayStation, I have to say, is the best place to start. Because regardless of what game you play, you never need to buy the DLCs to have the platinum on the game, which is something that Steam is lacking right now. And you don't need to be worried about broken achievements, because most of the times they're fixed, because Sony actually is on top of what's happening in the trophy community. And unless games are really old, they're making sure that the developers have their trophies fixed for the players to get them. And I think PlayStation, it has a more tight-knit community with PSN profiles in the Discords, and there's a huge culture around getting platinums for the PlayStation exclusives, which nowadays have also become pretty easy. But I found that the community is way less toxic over on the PlayStation part rather than the Steam part, because Steam has so many intricacies that you can point out in someone's profile, like the amount of shovelware, the amount of achievements they have just from buying out cents of games, of bad achievements. And of course, it used to be better on PlayStation with the shovelware thing, but nowadays it's worse on PlayStation. But nevertheless, it's still worse on Steam. I mean, they can be comparable, but the amount of shovelware is and always will be much bigger on Steam. But if I had to say over these years of experience what I would recommend for you to start, I would say definitely PlayStation if you can afford it. But Steam isn't bad as long as you stay out of shovelware. Shovelware is a big no-no, don't do that. And the last part I want to talk about in this video, and I know it's kind of unscripted and I'm saying a lot of the same thing here, but I think these are ideas I really want to reinforce. But the last topic I want to talk about is the friends. I think this is probably one of the hobbies in which I have made more friends in. If you really curate who you're talking to, you can meet some really amazing, friendly people with which you can discuss what you are playing, and you can also go for completions together. Over the years I've been in this hobby, I've met so many wonderful people who commented on my videos saying they love hearing about me talk about achievements and trophy hunting. And I've met a lot of people through Discords like 100 Pals or PlayStation Trophy Hunters whom I could share amazing experiences with and discuss gaming in general and the gaming industry, and have unique takes about things that maybe I would never hear if I never talked to these people who are also really dedicated to completing games and not just playing them. Because if you talk to people who are regular achievement hunters and not new achievement hunters, you can actually get a lot of valuable input on games. Because the truth is, if you are an achievement hunter, you will have a bigger vision when it comes to games. You're not going to be playing games anymore like the normal person does, and you will pay attention to the details, because all it comes down is the details. Getting a trophy, getting an achievement is completing things inside games that the normal person probably isn't going to pay attention to. And I think if you are like-minded with people who also achievement hunt, you can have great discussions about things that maybe some of your normal gamer friends don't talk about, but you know about, and you want to share it with people who also know about, so you can both enjoy the things together. And you can also meet a lot of toxic people, but if you pay attention only to the good side of things, it won't ruin your experiences. But let's leave this video with some good tips. I'll leave here some good tips for all of you who want to hear me out. So stay around good people, have a good mindset, find which part of the community is good and will accept you. Don't burn yourself out just completing games for the sake of it and for numbers. Don't care about leaderboards. If you can, and if you find that it doesn't interest you, please don't do shovelware. Just know that your list matters, the games you like matter, you matter, everything you want to play is valid as long as you're having enjoyment for yourself and not for the sake of what others think about you. I'd love to hear some of your guys' input down in the comments, but other than that, this has been the RetroDan, and I'm out.